Of course, it's about that time again. It's another week and another new episode of The Real Housewives of Orange County. And I have to say, what episode are we on? It's still a very interesting season, and we've taken a complete U-turn to last season. Now there's beef between Tamra and Jenn. And look, it's like deja vu all over again, because we saw what played out last season between those two couples, and now it's playing out again. We all knew that this was coming. If you pay attention to what's going on in the blogs and what people are saying in interviews, I don't really have the time to listen to every single interview or every single podcast episode, and I really don't even listen to the podcast episodes because there's just too much content, and there's too many people going on podcasts talking about the other for content. So I can't keep up. That's why I rely on you guys, like, did you hear? Or the blogs that, give you a little quick snippet. Well, this one said that one. Honestly, I never even heard this episode with Ryan. And I do appreciate the producers adding in what was said and what wasn't said. Because if we went by the Housewives, and we know Tamra loves to interpretate her own truth, for lack of a better word. I will give Tamra this. She looked amazing in her confessional. That white dress. Oh, she looked good. Come on. You may not look. That's why I always tell you guys, when you don't choose a side, you can appreciate when someone looks good or says something funny or does something really good. Her entire look in that new confessional. And then, of course, we have Gina. Oh, God, Gina. Of course, we have Gina. It's all right. It's all right. I didn't take notes because you know what I've been saying, at least for one of these recaps. I'm not taking notes. I just want to watch the episode and actually enjoy it and not have to remember everything. So if I don't remember it, look, we'll get to it. You'll remind me in the comment section, or you'll remind each other. If I don't remember it, it wasn't memorable. Just saying. Anyways, let's get into our recap of the Real Housewives of Orange County. And if you missed it, we did do our recap of the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City and talked about the Real Housewives of New York taglines. So be sure to check out that video. And as a special bonus, if you listen to the podcast version of that episode, you also get to hear my review of Maxwell's amazing concert this week and everything that I thought, from new artists, October London, to Jasmine Sullivan's performance, and more. Be sure to check that out. But first, let's get into the Real Housewives of Orange County.
Here we go now.
Welcome back to the Kempire channel, your number one source for pop culture news and music, entertainment, reality TV, and so much more. As always, be sure to like this video, be sure to share this video, be sure to subscribe, become a member, TheKempire.com/join. Shout out to our King's Guards for always holding us down in the live chat and in the comments section. And if you missed it, guys, we've been posting a lot more. I don't cover something just to cover something. If there's actually relevant things to talk about in regards to Sean Diddy Combs, we are talking about it. We talked about it a lot last week. We had quite a few stories this week to talk about, but yesterday we did another story talking about Naomi Campbell and her charity and her being accused of using financial misconduct is probably the best way to describe it. She has since denied any of that. So she has her lawyers looking into it. Okay, girl. But look, maybe it's being misrepresented. Maybe. We also talked about New York City Mayor Eric Adams and him being indicted by the feds. We talked about that by the Southern District of New York. And they say his crimes stem back all the way to 2014. And of course, we had another Diddy update. His attorney, he needs a new one. Go check out that video. I will do another sort of the Diddy files for the podcast like we did for last week's report. So stay tuned for that. And more than likely, we'll go live again and do an informal live here on YouTube or TikTok or Instagram. Make sure you're following us there. Let's get into the Real Housewives of Orange County. This is not going to be a long one, but every time I say that, I'm not going to look. But okay, again, because I didn't take notes, I'm not going through every single moment, okay? But at the top of this episode, I thought to myself, why wasn't Heather Dubrow at Katie's house? And I was like, oh yeah, they don't get along. I feel like I'm too far. Wait a second, y'all. I'm in the wrong scene that I want. Hold on, y'all. This is definitely keep my fourth wall in. Look, I'm getting a little fancy. I wanted to give you guys a little, what's the word? A little Orange County. I'm at the beach. Okay, I'm at the beach. But do I want to zoom in a little bit? Hold on, let me zoom in just a tad. I still want you to see my plaque. I'm gonna have to move the plaque. We're still figuring things out here in the studio. Okay, we're still figuring things out slowly but surely. But it's about to be the holiday, so I'll be turning this thing into a Christmas wonderland. Hopefully, we shall see. Anyways, focus. All right, I'm trying. Okay. Heather Dubrow. I just thought to myself, like, why wasn't Heather at Katie's house? And then I thought to myself, oh yeah, they don't really like each other. Fine. But here's the thing. First of all, someone called me a Heather Dubrow stan. I was like, you clearly must be new here. I'm a stan of no one. Okay? Maybe a stan of myself. That's about it. But just because in one episode, I'm like, I don't see why. And there were folks that are like, you don't understand where Emily could be coming from. No, I could understand that Emily has hangups about how she looks and feeling out of place and how she could have been triggered by what played out at this fashion show. But she even said out of her own mouth, she didn't feel like Heather was being malicious. Could Heather listen a little bit better? Yeah, we were saying that about her listening to Katie. She could definitely not be so damn standoffish, but that might be a Capricorn thing. Y'all let me know. I don't know. Anyways, so a lot of you had feelings about that, and I feel like some of you guys, your feelings are more so connected to your own issue with very similar to Emily. And like I said, Emily had a right to the way that she feels. But literally in this week's episode, we see Emily crying about the same issue. And I get it. It's something that was triggering for her. But although it's triggering for you, doesn't mean that Heather was being mean to you or intentionally trying to be malicious towards you. You even said that. So I'm trying to understand what you were trying to articulate to Heather. Because Heather is like, I didn't mean to do that. Like, this was the plan because of this and this and this. And the whole size 12 dress. So it was like, so what size are you? That was confusing for me. Because when you put the dress on, it looked like it fit. It didn't look like it, unless they pinned things up in the back. I don't know. But I get it. You have hangups about we all have our own hangups and we have our own triggers. But at the same time, although we have our own hangups and our own triggers, doesn't make it okay for us to exert those triggers onto other people, especially when those other people aren't intentionally doing something. Or maybe she is. Maybe she is. I mean, it's got to be hard living in the OC with these blonde, skinny women that get, that live a certain type of lifestyle, and she feels like she doesn't fit into that mold. Fine. But I feel like even in this week's episode, we see her get so incredibly emotional about this. Remember at the top of the season, she basically looked like she was triggered by Jen. And we were like, why are you so triggered by Jen? Why do you keep coming at her so maliciously and aggressively? That's your issue to figure out, Emily. That's not our issue to figure out. That's your issue to figure out. Just saying. Doesn't mean that we can't learn and grow because, we could also be a little bit more mindful of how you might feel in those particular situations. I'm sure the next time Heather throws something like this, she's going to keep that in mind. But to make her feel bad when you know she didn't do it maliciously and she wanted you to have a good experience, she also wanted you to have a moment by giving you multiple looks. Look, when Heather is wrong, we will say when Heather is wrong. And I'm not saying that Heather's right here, but to make Heather the villain in your story right now, girl. All right. Anyways, let's move on. Back to Heather. That's what I wanted to get into. So Heather at the top of this episode, Heather, you and Terry's storyline, I don't know what it is. Him getting a nose job, honestly, him being a plastic surgeon and having that nose. I mean, look, we all have different types of noses, and I'm fine with that. But Terry's nose, look, did something happen as a kid? Like, that doesn't seem like a regular nose. Well, she says his snoring, well, any excuse is better than none. His snoring is part of the reason why he needed to go in and get this surgery. I used to love watching his show with the former doctor from Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, Paul. I used to love watching Botched. I stopped. You just forget about shows, whatever. Is it still on? They're actually it's a good show, and they're very entertaining together. Like, Dr. Terry's entertaining. So the first part of this episode is about him going to get his nose done. But what stood out to me, I don't care about any of that. I mean, have we seen the new nose? I don't know why we were looking at the nose right after surgery. Anyone that knows anything about plastic surgery, he does, as a plastic surgeon, knows that you're not going to see the results for probably like a year, really. But definitely not right after the surgery. But okay. Fine. I say all that to say, what stood out to me was when they were talking about Heather's issues with Gina, and he's like, you need a 1 time, a 2 time, a 3 time to go to have these conversations. So as soon as they get off camera, she's like, you can't admonish me on camera. Heather has been doing this long enough to know you're mic'd, or maybe she forgot. But this goes back to what we've been saying about Heather. I don't think Heather is not fake, but I do is not fake. Wait a minute, like, I correct myself. Is not fake. It's not Freudian slip. I do believe that she's authentic in a way, but I also think that Heather is very calculated on the image that we see of her on the show, and she did not like showing this side of Dr. Terry on the show. But I'm glad, shout out to the producers, I'm glad you guys kept it in because you broke that image. And I don't think it's bad. That's the thing, Heather. I think you'd probably be far more interesting if you showed that side. She was like, I don't appreciate you admonishing me like that in front of the nurse or whatever it may be. But I'm glad they kept that mic moment in. Because people want to know that Heather Dubrow is just like them, has a relationship very much like them. Yes, your relationship is not perfect, and yes, you have your issues, but you're never going to leave that man. We always look at you and Dr. Terry when Kyle says, everyone looked up to our relationship. No. If anything, I'm not saying that people look up to Heather and Dr. Terry's relationship. However, I will say, I can see how that relationship works. I can see how that is a real partnership. But for me, that whole, I didn't care about any of the nose job and the excuses and them talking about other things with the other girl. I didn't care about any of that. It was the hot mic moment that stood out to me. What about you? You know you did. You loved that moment. Anyways, moving on from there. Guys, don't forget, speaking of Orange County, I will be coming to Los Angeles on November 20th at the Bourbon Room. Tickets are now available, and of course, we will be making tickets available in the description. And our mods will be posting links to tickets in the live chat. I have to keep reminding myself to let you guys know this will be our last and final show here in the States for 2024. So if you've been meaning to come to a Kempire After Dark tour or a tour date, or you missed it in New York, this is your opportunity. Make it a long week. Come out to California, but West Coast. We haven't done the West Coast. This will be our first and only West Coast show this year. This year. We'll try, hopefully next year. But yeah, this year's over basically. So the Bourbon Room, November 20th. Get your tickets. Kempire After Dark live tour, live experience. It's coming to a city near you, hopefully. Anyway, so back to this. I was about to look for my notes. I'm like, I don't have any notes. Whoa, whoa, whoa. No. All right. Speaking of Gina, we weren't speaking of Gina, and we normally never speak of Gina, but there's more going on with the whole Gina and Travis separating. I actually love this scene with Gina hanging out with Kelly Dodd. You know, she used to this. She didn't look as much like Kelly Dodd in this particular scene, but Gina's ex-husband's new girlfriend, fiance, they're getting married, and she's just like, I love this woman for my children. She's the best stepmom. I just like to see that they're in a good place. But Gina's just like, I wish I could have that with Travis's ex-wife. But we told you about what happened with Travis's ex-wife. That's part of the reason why they had to live separate lives. But I guess she can't really say it on the show because of what they're going through. But she does say a little bit more about it in this particular episode. But for me, it was really nice seeing, because we know, if you remember everything that happened with Gina and her ex-husband and the DV of it all, it's so nice to see that they're in a better place. They're co-parenting. I think it's great. I loved seeing the scene, and it gave us a little bit more clarity on what's going on with Travis. And everyone says the same thing about Travis. He's such a great guy. I know he's very hurt by how his past is affecting his future. Do you think, are they even engaged, Travis and Gina? No, right? Do you think they'll end up moving back in with each other? I don't think they need to, unless you're going to actually be able to afford a bigger home so that you all, because is it fair to the children? Yes, it's wonderful to live together, but living under the same roof in tight quarters is not necessarily pleasant when your kids don't have privacy, their own space. It leads to more stress. But I get it. She feels like they've taken a step back in their relationship. Okay, things happen. But I do like Travis for Gina. He's like a good match for her. All right. So Tamra is not loyal to anyone, because if Shannon was really your friend, that's the other part. So officially in this episode, we find out that Shannon is sued by John Jansen for $75,000 that he claims that he lent her for a facelift and a loan. As we know, one of the big issues is that it felt like he was extorting her, holding this video footage of her the day she got her DUI. And she was willing to give him the $75,000, but he had to sign an NDA. He did not want to sign this NDA, so he officially filed for divorce. Tamra puts two and two together and realized, so maybe that's why Alexis was acting so funny the other day. Sidebar, I forgot to mention this last week during our recap. when Emily pointed out to Alexis, you're just a friend. You're just a friend. Meaning that she's just a friend to the show, breaking the fourth wall. Like, shut up. Poor thing. Poor Alexis. Alexis, this hill that you decide to climb up and die on just seems so pitiful and sad. But okay, so it kind of did make a little bit of sense, because I wonder if Alexis, even though she said the way she was feeling had nothing to do with her relationship with John, I actually think it did have something to do with her relationship. I feel like she probably said to him, just let this go. You're making it harder for me to do this show. Everyone's hating me. She's already at this particular point while filming, receiving hate on social media. I think she probably said that to him. He claims and she claims that he offered her what she was going to make on the show. I think he even doubled it, what she's going to make on the show. He offered to pay her that. I don't know if I believe that. Because my thing is, if he did, why would you do the show? If you didn't want to be on the show because you're thirsty, or to rub this in Shannon's face. Just saying, like, so if he offered you, why would you do it? What is the point in you doing the show? Is it to promote some sort of brand? Is it to promote a charity? No, we haven't seen you do any of those things. And maybe you did and they just didn't show it. Sad for you. So was it worth it? Was it worth it? Guess not. look, guess not. All right. Shannon wasn't barely in this episode. They did show Shannon being sick at home and, oh, okay, Tamra. Because if Shannon was ever really your friend off of this show, and I get it, this is why people say, this is why Tamra's necessary. We wanted to see this moment. Not everything is for television. Clearly, we hear Shannon accidentally call Tamra, and she's emotional. You hear her emotional, and Tamra just keeps on the line while she's filming. Like, Tamra is not your friend. Anyone that's friends with Tamra, she is not your friend, especially on this show. Emily, I know you're forming a new friendship with her. She is not your friend if she could do this to Shannon. Because any real friend would have been like, oh, shoot, let me hang up. Even though producers probably were like, no, keep it going. You want to keep that job? No, I don't want to keep that job at the expense of my friendship, my real friendship with someone. But are there any real friendships on these shows? Well, all right. So we had that moment. So the other moment was sidebar. Katie, your home is beautiful. Have people been saying that Katie doesn't live in Orange County? See, sometimes you celebrities or reality TV stars react to things, and half of us are like, I didn't know that people were saying you didn't live in Orange County, because she did like a whole little funny skit about her living in Orange County. I didn't know people were saying that, Katie, but I mean, word on the street is that you're a Karen. I'm sorry. I do enjoy Katie on the show, and I do enjoy Jen and her friendship with Jen. So she's hosting the ladies. For them to come over and hang out at her place. But before then, we have this scene with Tamra and Eddie, and everyone's talking about this podcast interview that Ryan did. So Tamra and Eddie are very upset about it. I did say, Taria from What Else Is Going On podcast did send me one of the Instagram posts. Let me just pull that up, because she knew I needed to see this. Let me see if I can pull this up. Oh, yeah, here it is. So, as you see in this particular episode, by the end of the episode, because it comes at maybe the last 5 minutes, where Tamra confronts Ryan and things that he said in this podcast interview. Okay, before I read this, let me just mention things that happened in... Was there anything else that I wanted to mention within the episode? See, this is why taking notes helps. It's okay. Y'all be strong if I don't talk about it. If I can't remember it, whatever. Anyway, so we see that Katie is hosting the group. She's like, I did all the things, but I didn't cook the food. Fine. Then we have the arrivals. Okay, we have the arrivals of... Okay, we had a scene with Jen and Ryan before this, and Ryan gets all his stuff tailored, which... Honestly, I always say if you want to really look your best as a man, get your suits and things like that tailored. That's why I always look at Andy Cohen, like, you have the money and you're on television in suits all the time. Why are your suits not tailored? But that's me. I guess everyone has their vices in regards to what they want to spend their money on. But fine. But he gets everything. Ryan gets everything tailored, even his T-shirts. And I'm not saying just because you get something tailored doesn't mean that it's tailored properly, because his pants are way too tight. His T-shirts getting tailored, I don't see the point in that. I don't really love his sense of style, but whatever. Anyways, I say all that to say, We get to this event at Katie's house. Everyone's arriving, and Ryan goes up to Eddie to be like, "Hey, no hug." And Eddie's like, "No." Eddie, here's the thing. You have so much mouth in these other scenes, not around other people. If you had an issue with Ryan, say it. It feels like you feel like a punk when you come into these scenes. You have such mouth when you're not on, when you're not in front of these people, or you're in confessionals, or you're talking to Tamra. But then when you're in the moment, you're not really, you're acting like this tough guy, but you're not. At least Ryan is trying to greet you like, "Hey, what's going on?" And we can't forget, if you watched last season, Eddie had a lot of stuff to say about Ryan, although it could have been true. It could have been true, but you're saying this stuff, you're dogging him out. What do you expect him to say if he's doing an interview? Your wife dogged him out last season. And yes, and this is the sad part about this situation, because I hate the fact that it feels as if you guys are forcing the audience to defend people that really shouldn't be defended. Because although I love me some Jen, I do find Ryan to be a little greasy. But then I look at Tamra and how she handled the friendship, and how Eddie made those comments about Ryan. Although that could have been true, didn't mean you had to say it, especially if you really value Jen. But okay. So everyone's arriving. He doesn't want to hug him. Fine. Did you guys see? Did you guys see Katie's husband? I like Katie's husband. You know what I liked about Katie's husband? I'm looking at him as everyone's coming in there. He seems like a nice, quiet guy. He kind of looks like a nerd, but there was something about him. I was like, he's giving BDE. This is what they talk about, BDE. I was sort of like, he looks like a nerd, but I'm like, there's something about him. I see you, Katie. I see you. So Ryan, because Ryan can't talk with the other guys because Shane and Eddie and whatnot are talking, and he doesn't want to talk to Ryan. So Ryan ends up having a conversation with Matt, and we're all wanting to know what Tommy does for a living, aka Ryan. And Matt's face at the end, when he was describing all the things, I still don't know what he does. Real estate, this, that, COVID, blah, blah. I'm like, okay. Ryan's face. Matt's face, by the end of it, he was like, okay, cool. He's like, I have no idea what that man does. But because their wives are really close, I guess he's going to have, maybe off camera, they will have a different friendship. But we have to remember, we're watching a reality show. We're watching a speck of their entire lives. And sometimes when you're on camera, people can be different. So maybe off camera, Ryan is a lot more likable. I do believe that he loves Jen. Do I think he's a faithful person? I don't know. Like I said, I think he's greasy, but I hope for the best. I definitely hope for the best. I still don't know where that $60 million came from. Okay. Anyways, Emily has an emotional, they talk about what happened with Heather again, and she gets emotional and she starts crying. Fine. Then they talk about Shannon, what's going on with Shannon, and how, how John Jansen's suing her, and how she was like, oh, I think that's why Alexis was feeling the way she was feeling that day. Fine. Then the end of this episode, we have Tamra bring up the whole podcast. And they're just going back and forth about, well, you said this on the podcast. And Jim's like, no, he didn't say that. And then they play a clip where he doesn't say exactly what Tamra's accusing him of. Then he talks about, oh, you reposted my son on your social media about the whole, DP. Here's the thing, though. I know it's a new season and some of us forget what happened in last season. Tamra was relentless, talking all kinds of crap about Ryan. Back to what Jennifer wrote on her Instagram story. So Jen put the podcast that Ryan did, all about the Real Housewives podcast, and then said, can we please link the podcast from last year? This woman for an entire year drug my man's name through the mud. Remember, before cameras went up, she never had one problem with Ryan. This is why people have such a problem with Tamra, because they know she's doing these antics for television. Because if you had a problem with Ryan, why didn't you say it before this? Jennifer, you better come in hot. I know she tried to make peace with Tamra this season, but you can't make peace with the devil or the Diddy. Anyway, so she says, hashtag need a storyline. It's true. Like, what is Tamra's storyline? Last season, it was cut fitness clothes, but didn't it close way before that? But okay. She has over 1 million followers and her own podcast and trash Ryan regularly. He went on one podcast and spoke his truth. She says, how ironic that she trash talks people on the regular, and if one person says anything back, it's crocodile tears or a drunk slurring her words. Ooh, my man, my man, my man. She says, Eddie tried to stop her several times, and you're right. We did see Eddie in this moment he's trying to get her attention and telling her to stop because she was drinking too much. And he even had to tell Matt not to give her another drink. You're sitting over here talking about Shannon. And after she stumbled out of Katie's, out of Katie's home yelling false statements, the guys had a very civilized conversation. We just had to take the trash out so that it could happen. I'm wondering, do we get to see the civilized conversation next week? Because this is how the episode ended. Tamra is the common denominator. I think she does all these antics for television. It's sad and pitiful because I do think there are certain moments where Tamra is necessary. But when you have this type of energy that you're willing to do anything to anyone, doesn't matter who they are, for television, you will become the Lisa Rinna of your city. And this is what we talked about in other cities on Real Housewives. And it's a dangerous, dangerous slope. Look, we have our feelings about Ryan. We do have our feelings, but this is where it works. This is where the whole Alexis and Shannon situation is. When you have someone that's just as worse that you're watching, it's very easy to kind of be like, you know what? Ryan might not be the best person, but I'm forced to defend him. I am forced to defend him because you're worse. You're not a friend. There's nothing redeemable about Tamra. And you're making all of these jabs at him for speaking his piece, defending himself after you spent an entire season defaming him on this reality show. He never had a real opportunity to speak his side. And again, I'm not saying that he's innocent. I'm not saying that he's perfect. I'm not saying that the feds might not be on him because she brings that up in their conversation too, Tamra. But only for us to find out it's a friend that he's associated with. See, stuff like that is slanderous. And you're lucky that you're doing a reality show where they really try not to have people sue each other. But maybe she's jealous. Look, normally I would never say that. But when you think about the situation, maybe she is. Look, Eddie closed his gym, unemployed. Look, unemployed. He's at home all the time. You're desperate to be on television. You guys I don't even know if you guys love each other. It's hard to tell. Like, I don't feel like chemistry between Eddie and Tamra. And then you see Jen and her new love. They're passionate about each other. They're wheeling, they're dealing, they're having a good time. He's got $60 million in the bank, and you got nothing in the bank. I don't know. I mean, normally I wouldn't think that Tamra would be jealous of their relationship, but maybe. Anyways, I don't think Eddie's much better because at the end of the day, this is who he's chosen to be his partner. I'm just saying, like, pay attention to those things too. I thought it was a good episode, though. If you guys had to rate this episode from 1 to 10, how would you rate it? I thought this was a really good episode and solid episode. It wasn't my favorite this season so far. I definitely probably give it like an 8. I think it was good. I don't understand what Heather Dubrow was trying to do. She's like, don't admonish me. Don't admonish me in front of on camera. Like, we want your real lives, Heather. Do I think that they have a toxic relationship? Do I think that they're very different than what they show us on camera? No, but I definitely do believe that she's very calculated in what she shares on the show. And I love the fact that we got you on a hot mic. For someone that's so controlled, didn't realize that your mic was still on. I'm here for it. Look, I'm here for it. I hope we are able to move on from this whole Emily and Heather situation. She clearly is still very emotional about it. Obviously, it's not about Heather. It's her own stuff. But who knows? Who knows? And this stuff with Shannon and John Jansen, this is not going to end well for Alexis. I know she's been getting it on social media from a lot of people. Leave her alone. Look, we're never going to encourage you to bully anyone, but leave her alone. And I say all that to say, John Jansen's trash. Look, like we were saying, Lenny's trash from Housewives of Miami. Trash. Sidebar, rest in peace to Lisa Hochstein's father. She recently posted that on her social media. And they started filming Real Housewives of Miami. I'm excited for Miami. They're going to be a breath of fresh air when they start airing. We're not going to get that till next year. That's crazy, right? The schedule for Bravo this year is a mess. But they have the Bravo Fest isn't it in Miami or something like that? I don't know what the Bravo Fest is supposed to be about. I guess a mini BravoCon. I'm good. Nope, I'm not coming. Look, I'm going to be in Los Angeles. The Kempire After Dark live experience is coming to the Bourbon Room on November 20th. Go get your tickets because, look, it's already about to be October. Can you believe it? Like, where did the time go? About to be October. And after this, look, stay tuned, guys. Make sure that you have all your notifications on. Make sure that you're following so you don't miss out on any announcements. Make sure that you're subscribed. Make sure you're still subscribed, okay? And make sure that you are subscribed to the Kempire podcast as well, because you just never know what special extras you might find there. All right. Kempire on all podcast platforms. And while you're there, don't forget to give us a 5-star rating. And again, don't forget to like this video and check out everything that you missed this week. Okay. All right. Thank you to our Kings Guards. Thank you to our channel members. Thank you to everyone for being here. And thank you to Coldest. Use our discount code Kempire10 for 10% off of your order at Kempire at Coldest. Okay, I'm done for the day. At coldest.com, Kempire 10 for 10% off. Let me get out of here, y'all. I'll see y'all in the next one.
Say, feel that bass. We gon' shake up this place. Say, pick up that pace. Yeah, we got no time to waste. Everybody say, feel that bass. Yeah, we gon' shake up this place. Pick up that pace. Yeah, we got no time to waste. Say, dreams to chase. Yeah, we ain't losing this race. Say, we got faith. We know what it's gonna take. Ain't nobody gotta do for me what I do when I do it so beautifully. All I gotta stay is true to me. Yeah, stay winning is a mood to me. Hey, ain't nobody gotta do for me. Yep, what I do when I do it so beautifully. All I gotta stay is true to me. Say what? Stay winning is a mood to me. Hey, I said. I do it so beautifully. All I gotta stay is true to me. Yep, stay winning is a mood to me. Hey, ain't nobody gotta do for me. Yep, what I do when I do it so beautifully. All I gotta stay is true to me. Yep, stay winning is a mood to me. Hey, hey, I said feel that bass.